Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Real to Real Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and joining me, as always, to talk movies are the other Real to Real talkers, Susan Britton and Paul Chisholm.
Guys, you flip that, scratch that, flip it, you'll be good.
What did I say?
You said Susan Britton and Paul Chisholm.
I did?
Yes.
Oh my
but keep
God.
it. We're not redoing it. You're keeping that. Let's keep going.
I have an Uncle Paul Chisholm.
Oh, man.
And this week's episode, we're going to do Freaky Friday.
Right.
That's right. We're doing our review of Freaky Friday. So
now people know that we record early in the morning because who is actually joining me is Susan Chisholm and Paul Britton, the other Real to Real talkers. And we are here, guys, to just confuse things. That's why we're here.
That's what we do best.
Actually, that's kind of actually true on this podcast. The one we got.
Oh my goodness! What a way to start what will be the final episode of this wonderful year that we've been part of. We will be. That was sarcasm, Paul.
Okay. Thank you. I was like, what year have you lived in?
But we're in the holiday season, and we are going to have a very special finale discussion. We have enjoyed throughout this year talking movies with one another and for you. And Paul, you have prepared a special holiday episode for us, and I'm just going to go right to it because I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what you got for us.
Yeah, so there's always the annual debate of what is and isn't a Christmas movie. And so I've picked out 10 movies on which we are going to settle that debate once and for all. But we're not going to go with a black and white scale. Is it a Christmas movie? Isn't it? That's not fun. And plus, we already have a built-in rating system for this podcast. Normally when we're rating movies, it's 5 tacos, and if you really like it, you add some guac.
Yep.
For this one, we have a slightly different rating system. We're going to say every movie, based on its Christmassiness, it gets a bizcochito, and if you really think it's super Christmassy, you can add a glass of horchata. So that's what we're going with today.
And explain the main rating item.
Sure. Okay. Well, bizcochito is a Mexican Christmas cookie. It's basically a Mexican cookie, but it's kind of like a sugar cookie where you can cut it into stars and stuff to make it extra Christmassy. And then horchata is a beverage which is served year round usually, but because it can be warm, it is frequently served at Christmas time as well. So that's what we got.
I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I'll tell you that a bizcochito, that's the first I've heard of it myself personally. Now, horchata, yeah, we're actually sitting amongst a person who is the one who introduced me to horchata because I had resisted it for my entire life. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, you must try this, and he was like, no. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Fine. And now it's like, oh my God, horchata.
So now you're in the know.
That's
so,
right.
And basically, like anything that is super, super Christmassy is not going to be included on this. Like, so, like White Christmas would be 5 bizcochitos and a glass of horchata. Like, or Elf. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about movies that straddle the line, that have some Christmas elements to them.
Yeah. And
let's discuss, all right, how Christmassy is it? Because for me and my family, all of these flat out are Christmas movies. Okay. So if it has a Christmas scene in my family, then we watch it at Christmas time and it's considered a Christmas movie. So the question that we're trying to answer is, how Christmassy is it? So that's what we're going for today.
Okay. All right. And just to be clear, you said that each movie you're going to bring us, you say is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying it is a Christmas movie, but how Christmassy is it? Now, if it's super not Christmassy at all, then we could just say it's one bizcochito, and we're done with it.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
I am curious though.
But like something, well, we'll save that for the last one. Okay, so we're gonna start. And I have categories. So the first two movies fall in the animated movie category. The first one we'll start with is Lady and the Tramp. So Lady and the Tramp opens and closes with Christmas scenes. Lady is a Christmas gift to Darling from Jim Deere. And then you close out with the Lady and the Tramp now being in love and having puppies of their own at Christmas time, wreaking havoc in the house. So, so let's start off the discussion. When you watch this movie, we'll start with Susan. When you watch this movie, how Christmassy do you feel with the opening and closing being super Christmassy?
She is a Christmas present,
right,
to Darling. So for me, I would say probably right in the middle of the scale for 3 to 4 bizcochitos.
3 or 4 bizcochitos. Sergio, what? And Sergio, this is one that you just watched for the first time ever this week.
That's true. And the reason I'm going to give it 2 bizcochitos is because I didn't even recall that she was a Christmas gift or that it ended on a Christmas scene.
Wow.
So it didn't filter through as Christmassy enough for me to feel like it would qualify. Of course, it has its universal appeal as a Disney story, so that might have something to do with it. But from a Christmas standpoint, no, I would say 2 bizcochitos, and no, that's where I sit on that one.
You not even like 2 with a horchata because of no,
because when you said it, I thought, really? I'd have to go back and even notice that it was Christmas themed to begin with.
It's super Christmas, especially at the end. It is super duper Christmassy because the little puppies are getting all up in the presents and stuff. All right, but that's cool. That's cool. I'm going with what Susan said. I'm saying 3 bizcochitos for Lady and the Tramp as far as its Christmassy level.
I gotta rewind.
The next one is Toy Story, which unlike Lady and the Tramp, which opens and closes, this one just closes with Christmas. It's a very, very brief encounter for Christmas at the end where instead of it now being Andy's birthday, it's Christmas time, a new present's coming. And however, very much like Lady and the Tramp, the present is a puppy. And that becomes a precursor for some fun scenes in Toy Story 2 with the puppy. We'll start with Susan again. Susan, Christmassy level for Toy Story.
I'm gonna say 2.
2? Okay.
Yeah, it just because most of the movie doesn't have anything to do with Christmas at all. Like the Christmas setup and everything is kind of almost like what Sergio said. It's kind of forgettable. It's like I didn't even remember that was part of it. I remember his birthday. I remember the parties and stuff. So
okay,
yeah.
Sergio, what's your feeling on Toy Story?
I'm going to continue to be the Scrooge in this one because same thing as and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a movie like Toy Story, even more so than Lady and the Tramp, is so full of so much other toy related stuff that is so memorable that, again, to even recall, like I do recall that it was a Christmas scene there at the end, but not enough for me to feel like it's going to qualify as a Christmas rewatch every year for me. So I'm going to go with 2 bizcochitos, but horchata simply because it is Toy Story, and it's one of my favorite animated films that I actually saw when it first came out, which you guys know was rare. So
yes, for an animated film, absolutely, especially that time frame. Like you would have been totally like, I'm not doing anything animated at that time.
But
I guess because it was because it was computer, you were like, all right, this is different. I'll take it.
It was Pixar. Yeah. Okay. Everything to do with Pixar.
Here's my thing on Toy Story is that while I agree that there's not a lot of actual Christmas, there's a lot of like that Christmas type of magic involved where we're dealing with talking toys.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess I would categorize that as Disney magic more than
Disney Magic. Okay,
Christmas Magic.
but it's like because of the toys. I'm going. All right, you guys sway me. I'll do the two biscochitos with a glass of horchata, is like Sergio did. I had both of these at 3 originally, but I'll go ahead and knock Toy Story down a little bit. So that's our animated category. Next is our romantic comedy category. Okay, so we have 2 movies in the romantic comedy category. We have When Harry Met Sally and While You Were Sleeping. So I will start with When Harry Met Sally, and I will kick it to Susan, if you could, please.
I mean, I still feel like I'm kind of falling in the middle with the three biscochitos. It just doesn't, like, I guess the rest of the story kind of overshadows it. I mean, it has been, admittedly, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I didn't recall very much of the.
I'm going to remind.
Reviewing it.
Let me remind everybody about the Christmas scenes in When Harry Met Sally. So there's multiple montages within When Harry Met Sally of this is what their friendship is like. And then you get scenes of them interacting as friends, and it's very much, like them doing things together, including Harry helping Sally carry her Christmas tree and decorate her house. And then after they kind of stop being friends, they have the scene where they do it and kind of drift apart. Yes, they have sex. They drift apart, and then you see Sally like having to drag the Christmas tree on her own, and like struggling with that. And that's a big and all of those, and that montage scene is a callback to the prior montage scene, and the climactic scene. And I guess one of the things for this is that I do tend to include New Year's in, like I consider it like holiday season. So I definitely include New Year's in this with my thinking about what constitutes a Christmas movie, because I'm not just thinking, all right, it's Christmas, it's Santa. I'm thinking the holiday season, that whole week, and New Year's is huge in this movie. There are 2 huge scenes that happen on New Year's, including the giant climactic scene where Billy Crystal gives one of the greatest ever monologues you'll see in just about any comedy movie. Or just any movie really, where he kind of professes his love for Sally. That plays such a huge role. Are you, Susan, like saying no, New Year's doesn't count in the holiday, or are you, because that's my thinking. My thinking is New Year's counts. So when I think about Christmas, I think the season.
So for my background, and maybe it's weird this way, because for me, it's Christmas, and then there's a week, and then there's New Year's, and then there's a week, and then there's my birthday. So I have this very specific like separation between all of them, because that was how it was insisted upon when I was growing up. I couldn't have a Christmas/birthday present because New Year's is there. It's in the way. So
knockage.
So for me, there's a huge like New Year's is its own holiday, its own space, its own thing.
Okay.
So that's maybe that's why I didn't really lean. I mean, the Christmas being there, but I just didn't lean that as a part of holiday, I guess.
Okay, cool.
We're talking specifically Christmas, so.
Right. So Sergio.
So I guess I have a broader scope because it is that last scene and I'm not in any way arguing with Susan. I mean, Susan has her opinions and they're wrong, but I'm kidding. So for me, it is that last scene. It is that last scene that for me sort of seals it as a holiday film.
Right.
And the montages are for me very memorable. So I'm very happily giving this one a 4 Biscochito score because, and again, I completely get what Susan's saying, but for me, as I think through it, I remember those scenes very clearly, especially that, and I was even going to say before the clarity point that yeah, it's New Year's, but it's the Christmas season, and so there's some Christmas magic going on there because of how the relationship progresses throughout the course of the film. It's a fantastic movie, by the way, and so yeah, 4 bizcochitos and a glass of horchata because it's a great movie. So
okay, good. Yes. So for the record, I am also for bizcochitos with a glass of horchata on this one, and for the reasons that I've already explained. And I'm glad that you added the glass of horchata, Sergio, because I was going to do that, and you slightly stole my thunder, but it's good because it is such a fantastic movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. So the next in the romantic comedy category is While You Were Sleeping. While You Were Sleeping is a film featuring Sandra Bullock in her absolute apex, oh my God, Sandra Bullock is the most adorable person on the planet, powers. Her romantic love is Peter Gallagher, who is a businessman who literally spends 90% of the movie unconscious in a hospital. And we have also Bill Pullman, who is the one that, in the classic screwball comedy feeling, is the one that's pulling on Sandra Bullock's love while he's actually conscious, and is the brother of Peter Gallagher.
If I may, Paul.
Yes.
I'd like to volunteer to go first on this one.
Okay, cool.
For a reason, Susan, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Because I saw this movie for the first time literally last night.
All right, cool. Yes, that is.
And I'm going to be the one that is probably controversial, but I'm going to give this 1 bizcochito, and here's why.
Okay.
This story could have landed just about anywhere. In fact, I didn't get to go back, and I imagine it was probably released around the holidays when it first came out 25 years ago.
Yeah, no, I know, right?
And cute, funny, but you could have inserted it at any point in the year, and it would have been the same funny story. And so to me, as I watched it, I knew what it was, the reason I was watching it. And I thought, this is not a Christmas movie. It just happens to be happening around Christmas. And so the story elements, because they could be lifted and placed any point in the year and they would still be funny and effective, I'm going to land on 1 bizcochito. This is not a Christmas film. So
interesting. Well, but like, the whole
are you going to try to convince us out of our thoughts?
No, I'm just going to throw it out. But the whole theme of like her trying to find a family and it being Christmas time, you don't think that plays on that at all? I
did think about that, especially at the climactic scene when she gets so emotional when she finally confesses to what's happening. But it's like, it was such a far-fetched for me, because rom-coms for me aren't always, they don't always hit. Okay. And this one it felt very forced, but I had to sort of remember when it came out and so forth. Okay. And so no, it just didn't. I guess there was too much other stuff happening that was predominantly the story that I just didn't get that Christmas feel, I guess. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Susan, what do you got? How's your Christmas feelings towards While You Were Sleeping?
I mean, I'm kind of under the same sort of thought process. Like, yeah, she's the very beginning is she's working on Christmas, but the rest of it, I mean, you don't really feel very much about it. Like, actually, there's more of a New Year's kind of thing in there, because when they go to the New Year's party, and she can't drink because she's pregnant. She's not pregnant. I'm gonna probably say maybe 2 bizcochitos, just because it does start on Christmas, and it's very clear that it is, because she's like super bummed that she's working on Christmas.
Okay. I'm going 3. I'm going 3. Primarily because I do feel like the looking for a family theme and like being welcomed in and getting gifts on Christmas and everything, and I feel like, and like her being asked by her boss, hey, can you work on Thanksgiving? Can you work? Like it's like I feel like that really does help drive the story, and it adds a layer to it and kind of drives home the difficulty of not having a family theme. So that's where I am going with While You Were Sleeping. Our next category is going to be the Sergio and Paul category. It's comedies. And I know, Susan, you haven't, did you get a chance to see either Mean Girls or Trading Places?
I saw Mean Girls.
Okay, you have seen Mean Girls. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with you for Mean Girls then. So Mean Girls is a movie starring Lindsay Lohan and Rachel McAdams and Amanda Seyfried and a whole bunch of wonderful young actors and actresses that in support, as well as Tina Fey, who is just absolutely ridiculous in this. She also wrote the movie, so which would explain why it's so good. The Christmas scene for this movie is it's sort of like they're doing their annual Christmas talent show at the school, and they the plastics. The cool girls do every year do a dance routine to rock around the Christmas tree. And one of my things for Christmas movies is if you have a Christmas song, you're a freaking Christmas movie. Period. End of story. Like if there is singing of a Christmas song, it's a Christmas movie. You're not turning on a movie that's happening in July and then they start belting out, Frosty the Snowman or anything like that. It's a Christmas movie. It's got a Christmas song. So that is my argument for it being a Christmas movie right off the bat. We'll go to Susan. First of all, Susan, why don't you just tell us if you liked it or not, and then you can go ahead and dive into your Biscochito rating.
I did. I thought it was hilarious. And it does also kind of explain a lot of the references that I had been missing. Like I'm fine. Like, oh, I get it now.
You get the fetch will never happen thing because
Yes.
it's like there's at least a 250 million memes that you will now understand.
Yeah.
Good for you, Glenn Coco. Like there's another one.
It doesn't even go here.
There's so much there is, and it was kind of like, I mean, I guess I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I understand.
I do feel like this movie's in your wheelhouse. Like I was kind of surprised you hadn't seen this one, but that's cool.
It wasn't, so in this case, it wasn't an active, intentional avoidance of it. Like there are some movies that I intentionally avoid for reasons, and this one wasn't one of them. It just was like it never happened to be in the same place at the same time, I guess. I don't know. So I thought it was hilarious. And like, that's definitely one that, my daughter walked in during part of it and she was like, what are you watching? So she ended up sitting down beside me and finishing the movie. So, so in terms of Christmas-ness, I'm gonna say, because like you said, it's got a Christmas song that's right in your face.
It's very much in your face.
And she's wearing a hat. I'm probably gonna say 4 on the Biscochito scale.
Okay, great.
Or at least.
Wow.
I have a 4 with horchata. We'll add the horchata there just for fun.
Okay, cool. Great. Sergio, go ahead. Where are you with Mean Girls and a Christmas?
I've shared before with you guys, but I don't know that I've ever said this on air. So I had to watch Mean Girls because I lost a bet, and I really loved it. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
As far as Christmas, I think because it was sort of the culmination point of the movie, and not sort of the overall holiday thing. I get your whole point about they sang a song and all, but I couldn't get, as I was thinking, I couldn't get past 3 Biscochitos. Like I can see where it is, just like some of the other movies that people sort of debate, are they or aren't they? I was just sort of more taken by the overall story than I was the fact that it landed during the holiday season. I mean, for me to give a 4 or a 5, it has to have a distinct feel that Christmas is really, really present. And Mean Girls was so full of rich comedy, silly comedy that just was so powering the theme that we're talking about that I'm going to give it 3 because I agree with what you're saying in terms of, well, it's Christmas, it has the song, da 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 da. But it certainly would not go on repeat because, hey, it's a Christmas film, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give it a strong 3 Biscochitos, and I'm going to keep the horchata for myself. So.
All righty. I actually have to quickly go reverse for 1 second and correct myself. I said they sing Rock Around the Christmas. It's Jingle Bell Rock. I apologize.
Yeah.
I just, just quick. So for me, this is a Christmas standard in my family. This one gets the full 5. And just part of it too is it's like you get 5 candy canes, go for you, go. It's like, that is such a meme. Like my wife has a ugly Christmas sweater T-shirt with the "Good for You, Glen Coco" on it. Wow. It is so like that scene is so indelible and so memorable, and the Christmassiness of it is so important that I am going the full 5. So that's just me. That's fine. We have a nice range of Christmassiness on that one. So this one is just you and me, Sergio, trading places. Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, just again, absolute peak. I think it's fair to say if we were rating this on the tacos, we'd probably both give it 5. I know I would.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And let's not forget Jamie Lee Curtis, just
brilliant. Yeah.
And there's a brilliant scene here where Dan Aykroyd has hit the bottom of rock bottom and shows up at the Christmas party dressed as Santa, and just the messiest, dirtiest, nastiest Santa you'd ever want to see, and is like using the suit to hide salmon. And and you see him like pull the salmon up out of his beard and takes a bite out of it. So this is similar to While You Were Sleeping, I'm guessing, where it happens during the holiday season, and there are definite holiday elements. But Sergio, go ahead. What's your feeling on Trading Places? And
I got to say this before I start, Susan. I think it's on your list of not. It needs to be. Trading Places is the classic example of when a theme that can be pulled out of this movie and placed any other time in the year, it would still be funny. But Christmas is so front forward in it that for me, this is 5 bizcochitos plus horchata. This is a Christmas movie.
Okay, great.
It is, and it's because of how that theme continually works its way into basically every frame of this film, without losing the fact that it's a hilariously put together comedy that. Again, this is sort of the opposite of what I said earlier. Yeah, you can pull the story and have it happen any time of the year, but the fact that it's Christmas makes it even that much more effective and funny. Yeah. There is, in fact, I remember very clearly I saw this movie long after Paul, and it was actually introduced to me during the Christmas season by Jen. She's like, listen, you need to watch this movie.
Wow.
Christmas movie. And I was like, Trading Places? She's like, just watch it. And I absolutely died. And it's on my rotation every year. It's great. Yeah, 5 plus horchata. So
great. I'm going 4 plus horchata. The only reason is because they don't really dive into songs. Like honestly, if they had just like 1 or 2 Christmas carols in here, I would be like, yeah, absolutely, it gets the 5. But the lack of Christmas carols, when there's so much opportunity to just throw them in randomly, it knocks off Bizcochita for me. That is going Bizcochito. That is going to bring us to our final category, which features 4 films, thanks to Shane Black. Yes, 4 action adventure Christmas movies. 3 of which, thanks to Shane Black, because Shane Black makes movies, releases them in July, and makes them take place in Christmas. So here we are. The first 3 are going to be Shane Black movies. First one was sort of his, I would say, his big welcome to Shane Black as a writer to Hollywood. Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon takes place. There's a great scene at the end where Gary Busey's kind of still hunting for Murtaugh and for Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, and It's a Wonderful Life is playing on in the background, and they get to the scene where he says, "What day is it?" And he shoots the television screen and says, "It's goddamn Christmas." So Christmas, it definitely, and like the movie starts and we meet Murtaugh at his in his office where the police like have like a caroling group singing Silent Night.
That's right.
There's a lot of Christmas in this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll throw it to Susan to start. Susan, Lethal Weapon, what do you got?
I'm gonna say two.
Two.
Okay. Though, just because I mean, yes, it does start in there. It's just kind of there's so much else that goes on without
Like a
being
shooting scene
Christmas
at
central.
a Christmas tree lot, a drug deal.
There's so much other else stuff that's. I mean, you have to admit it. Like if take that out and put it anywhere else in the year, except for obviously the shootout scene and stuff, but like.
There's a lot of rewrites. Like where are you going to have your drug deal? But okay, no, that's cool. That's cool. Two bizcochitos from Susan. All right, that I respect that. Sergio, where are you at on Lethal Weapon?
Well, it has all of the action movie tropes, and so it's to your point of rewrites. It could land, and it's, but I guess for me it doesn't feel forced, and so that's why I'm going to give it 4. 4 bizcochitos for me because to Susan's point, it can land anywhere. But I love how they wove the Christmas season into it without it feeling forced, I guess is the way I can describe it. So for me, I do year to year consider this to be a Christmas film. So I'll give it 4. And I'm going to use your rule of lack of carols to not give it 5. So, but it definitely makes my rotation, and I absolutely love this film.
I'm actually going with 5 on this one. I'm going with 5 bizcochitos, and the reason is because there is a carol in the beginning where they're singing Silent Night, and this is another rule for me. If you actually show a bit of It's a Wonderful Life during your movie, you're getting a bump. So there's the 5 bizcochitos.
Oh man,
Lethal Weapon is totally super Christmassy for me.
Yeah.
Our next Shane Black entry into this category is The Long Kiss Goodnight, which was a movie that kind of I felt like slipped through the cracks as far as its popularity. I saw it. I remember seeing it. I was at the University of Pittsburgh at the time, and just loved it beyond anything. And it's Gina Davis, Samuel Jackson. Gina Davis is an assassin who loses her memory and winds up in a small town in God knows where. And Samuel Jackson is a private investigator. She is hired to try to crack her code. Where am I from? Yep. And Gina Davis finds her way onto a float in a Christmas Day parade, and as Mrs. Claus. And one of the people that she almost killed, who's happens to be in jail, sees her on television, and that like cascades into a whole line of things that happen. And there's snow everywhere throughout the entire movie. There is snow. It being cold and snowy plays a major part of this movie. Just in general, I highly recommend this movie. But as a Christmas movie, I also recommend it. But we'll start with Susan again. Susan, what do you got on The Long Kiss Goodnight being Christmassy?
I'm gonna say probably 3 bizcochitos with horchata because, like you said, there's snow everywhere. She's Mrs. Claus on the freaking Christmas. I will say 4. I'm gonna say 4 because she's freaking Mrs. Claus on the parade float.
Right.
It's been a long time since I saw that one too, but I did go back and like watch some highlights, and I was just like, every highlight scene that they had in this little compilation clip of 2.5 minutes or whatever had some kind of Christmas element to it.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, all right. So we're gonna 4.
Okay, cool. Sergio, what do you got?
As I thought through it, 4 was what kept coming up, but I just love this movie so much that it gets an extra bump for that. It's 5 for me. 5 bizcochitos.
Okay.
It just. The Christmas is throughout it. I love the reveal or the real reveal of the bad guy seeing her, in the parade because it's so her before she realizes who she is. It's beautifully played. And then of course the scene at the end with all the lights on the bridge, with the helicopter scene. This gets 5 for me. 5 bizcochitos for Long Kiss Goodnight.
I'm going with 4 bizcochitos with horchata on this one. And the reason being is that I do feel like they could like turn on the radio and play some like Christmas carols or something. Like I do feel like there were ample opportunities. They're driving in the car a lot. There were ample opportunities to throw in some like Christmas carols and make it a little more Christmassy. But even though I don't give it the full 5, I do highly recommend it as a movie. Our last Shane Black entry into this category is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3. This one's going to be you and me, Sergio. Yeah. Go ahead. What do you got for Iron Man 3? Oh, and I will remind people, this one takes place in LA. Although Tony does end up in Tennessee randomly, which is kind of funny. And so there you get to see snow. It's Christmas time, and he gets an obnoxious present for Pepper, which is funny, for the Christmas.
You're reminding me of that. Yeah. Again, and I'm looking forward to taking Susan through these movies, but this one in particular, I almost don't want to give too much away. I want to say more than 3. Yeah. Huh? I want to say more than 3.
I'm not listening. Go ahead.
Oh. No, I want to say more than 3 because it definitely tries hard to be the Avengers Christmas, not Avengers Christmas, but the Iron Man Christmas movie.
Yeah. Iron Man Christmas special.
It gets so much into the story, and the story isn't in any way related to Christmas. Right. But I can't go below 3, and horchata for sure would be my thought on Iron Man 3. But I really do want it to be, just a little. I need a little more. Yeah. But when it's Iron Man and MCU, it's like they're not going to let Christmas completely become a theme in this movie. So
right.
Yeah.
I think this one suffers in the rating because of its location in LA. Yeah. Even though Lethal Weapon happens in LA, there's so much Christmassy in Lethal Weapon. Whereas with this one, there's just not enough Christmassiness for me in this one. I'm actually going to go with 2 bizcochitos with horchata. So that's where I'm landing on this one. I'm giving the horchata because of the obnoxious size of the bear present. Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Susan, come back and put it back in. You can come back in now. Our last one, the one that everybody's urgently waiting for on the is this a Christmas movie or not and how Christmassy is it, is Die Hard. Die Hard is, it speaks for itself, honestly, as a movie and as a Christmas movie. Look, you have Bruce Willis showing up to his wife's Christmas party. You have the limo driver playing "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" as they come in. I don't know. I don't think that you can have. I personally don't think that you can have this movie if it's not Christmas time. I mean, like the Christmas part. Like, why is he showing up? Randomly in Los Angeles. Like it. So, but yes, Sergio, I'm gonna start with you, please, on this one.
This is 5+. I mean, but let me tell you why. I maybe I'm thinking in this into because I want this to be, but isn't it even the tape that he puts the gun on his neck? Wasn't it also Christmassy?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean, to that level of detail.
Yeah.
It's I don't understand people who try to argue that this is not a Christmas movie, and I just don't get it. And I love having debates with them because, when you can get to that sort of granular detail, it's for me it's easy. And so yeah, this is 5 bizcochitos, 2 glasses of horchata. This Die Hard, I'm gonna say it right now. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care what anybody says.
It's in the books.
Oh yeah.
Susan, what do you got?
100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. Because I mean, you can't not have Christmas without watching Die Hard. You just can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Every year, it's the first Christmas movie I watch. Every year, Die Hard. That I'm picking. Like my son will usually like pick Elf or Christmas Story first. But if the first one that it's like, okay, which one do you want to call? Die Hard. It's going in.
Yeah.
5 bizcochitos plus horchata for me as well. So there you have it, folks. If you were ever wondering, all right, is it a Christmas movie? If there's a Christmas scene in it, yes. And well, okay, then how Christmassy is it? Now you know. Now you know just how Christmassy these movies are. There's many, many more that we could have included, but didn't.
Oh yeah.
If you want to participate in the debate, please feel free to chime in. Let us know how Christmassy you think some of these movies are, and if you have others that you would like to start a debate on, please.
Indeed. And if you want to let us know what you're thinking, you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. Check us out, Real to Real Talk, the way you see it spelled on screen, and let us know what your thoughts are on whether Christmas movies or whether films are Christmas movies or not. And hopefully, if you haven't seen some of the ones we've talked about, we've encouraged you to do so because they are pretty darn fantastic all the way across the board. I've actually been holding off on watching Die Hard until this week, so it's going to happen sometime later this week. So very much looking forward to that. Also, here on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you watching us week to week. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you know when our episodes arrive. And we like likes, so give us a Christmas present on this episode and on other episodes that you might have seen, or if you haven't, go back and watch. As we have eclipsed 20 episodes, we're finally beyond 20 episodes of video format for Real to Real Talk, so that's exciting stuff. We thank you as always for joining us, and we are now going to talk about this week's segments, starting with something we like to call What the Hell Did I Just Watch? Paul, it's over to you.
All right, so month of December, I've been doing Christmas movies for What the Hell Did I Just Watch? And I have a first this week. This is the first time that I'm doing a movie that I've actually seen before. However, with a caveat, I've only seen this movie through the prism of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I specifically saved this movie for last. I've actually seen this movie multiple times because of my love for Mystery Science Theater 3000 back in the day, and this would always be played multiple times around Christmas time. So the movie is called Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and it's available on Tubi for free, both the standard viewing and the Mystery Science Theater viewing. I definitely recommend doing both because I did that this weekend, and not this weekend, but this week. I'd never seen the whole movie because Mystery Science Theater cuts things out. You know, you don't get the whole movie. You just kind of get a feel for like 75% of it. So I got to see the whole movie. And it's horrible, but hilarious. Like, it's just, I mean, the concept of this movie is that Martian children are having a hard time because they've been watching human television programs, and watching the human television programs has made them sad because they don't have Santa. And so the Martians have decided that they need to go and bring Santa to Mars. This movie, by the way, 1964. So this is, right in the wheelhouse of just horrible, crappy late 50s, early 60s sci-fi movies, where just everything is made out of plywood, and basically you become an alien by sticking a weird hat on your head, and painting yourself green. This movie, like the sci-fi-ness of this is just so laughably horrible. It's ridiculous. The concept, as I've already just described it, is ridiculous. Like in trying to find, like the Martians have a hard time finding Santa because when they arrive at Earth, there are so many Santas. Who's the real Santa? And so they find a pair of Earth children to take them to Santa so they can find the real one, and then they grab Santa up and take him to Mars. This is just... This movie is as whacked out as you are probably imagining if you've not been exposed to it before. And I think the way to watch it is definitely watch the movie first and then watch the Mystery Science Theater version. I can't recommend it. The Mystery Science Theater version, this is one of my all-time favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. And just being able to revisit that brought warm joy to my heart this week. Warm Christmas joy to my heart. And it would definitely get 5 bizcochitos with horchata.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
I was going to ask. I don't know why that title sounds familiar, and I wasn't ever a big MST3000 fan, so I'm trying. Why do I know that title? Is just now it's going through my head, but
Interesting.
yeah,
It's really the only reason why anyone would know this title today. It would be because of MST3K. So
yeah.
there. Oh God, it's so funny. I can't even. It's great. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Even if you just want to do the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version, you'll get the feel for the movie and you will be highly entertained. So
Gotcha.
there's that.
I have a feeling I need to catch up on MST3000. So, but yeah, definitely a one that qualifies for this topic. Paul, thank you as always for sharing. And now I believe you are free to start pursuing other types of whacked out movies that you might enjoy.
I have a backlog. And honestly, the backlog was filling up in October when I was doing horror movies. And then I got a few of them out in November. And then December came around. I was like, crap. But the reality is like I have known I was going to do this movie for months. Like literally months. I was like, I'm doing that movie Christmas week. So
makes
here
sense.
We are. Like you would ask that if we could do a hiatus like for Christmas, and I was worried. Like I was like, oh my God, how much time does he want off? Because like I want to do this movie the week before Christmas.
Well, I'm glad I didn't take it from you. So
thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, we look forward to more of the weird in the new year from Paul Britton. You can always find out what he's been watching if you keep up with us on social media. So please do so. And we look forward to more wacky, zany films from Paul next year. Which, of course, brings us to Susan finally saw. Susan, I am excited to find out what you have added to your watched movie list.
All right. Well, okay. So first of all, sorry, I am trying to hide because the sun is coming through. So I promise I'm not.
I'm like, we see her nose, and that's about where it starts. So.
So today I'm going to be talking about. No.
You've got half cover with that. That's good.
I know. I put there. I have a huge window. I put boxes in the window, and of course I'm really short, and I like one section. I'm just trying to get to where I'm not like
Star Child.
Nice.
So the movie I watched was actually I had been keeping in with the Christmas theme. This one was not. I needed something that I could kind of bang out really quick, and I watched the 80s classic. I guess I don't know. I watched The Heathers. It was strange, a strange movie. I think that the cast is fantastic. I mean, for 80s, you've got all the all-stars, and you've got Winona Ryder and Christian Slater and Shannon Doherty, and you see all of these folks that are repeated through stuff going on, sitcoms and stuff at the time. Like I think that was when right before Beverly Hills 90210 came on, and Shannon Doherty was really big on that. The story that was the strangest thing ever. Like at first I was just kind of shocked. I was like, what the heck? Okay, I guess. But I mean, everything, the way that it all played out and the way that the actors did, just convincing. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a better or crazy high school person other than Christian Slater.
Oh yeah.
I think he did a fantastic job. So, yeah, that's what I've been watching. That's I finally saw this time from Heathers.
Oh, musical, by the way. Heathers is yeah. I remember that. I clearly remember when I saw it. This was way back during the Christian Slater.
I'm gonna turn
when he was having his run, and it just creeped me out. I was like, this is just weird. I don't know. I feel dirty watching this, but yeah. So
that's exactly it. What you said is I feel dirty watching this. It was kind of like squicky.
Yeah.
I'm curious
to your thoughts, Paul.
Feeling.
Yeah, this is a Gen X standard. Like people from Gen X love this movie. It is one that just never resonated with me. I always leaned more heavily towards the what's his face Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you
Mm.
know, the John Hughes comedy type stuff. I just, for whatever reason, this one just never clicked with me. I've only, fairness, I've only seen it once, so
Yeah.
maybe I need to give it a second watching or something. But yeah, it just didn't. It's not mine. It's not for me. But I get it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was definitely one of those things where I was kind of like, what were people thinking?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? But yeah.
Oh
that's
man,
it.
and I think that the appeal of it when it first came out, if it had anything, was the cast, like you said. It was, you know, those people all together. That doesn't always
Yeah.
work, as we know. So, all right, well, Susan, thank you. You have a couple weeks coming up where you can put a dent on your list, and I'll look forward to what you bring us in 2021 as we continue this Susan Finally Saw segment in the new year. So thank you, Susan, for your contributions this year. All right, it's time then for Real-Time Rewind, where I like to remind folks about films that are out there that I wish or hope or will be glad that you've seen. This month's theme has been dialogue-driven movies, talkie films, and I cannot not talk about Glengarry Glen Ross. This is purely, I mean, it's a David Mamet adaptation. David Mamet's plays are all about dialogue, and not just dialogue, but how that dialogue it's written as it's to be delivered. You don't mess with Mamet's work. And Glengarry Glen Ross, which stars Ed Harris, Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, just a monster cast. Al Pacino is in it. Alec Baldwin has a very short but powerful scene at the beginning of the movie. If you haven't seen Glengarry Glen Ross, you need to. If you have seen it, if it's been a while, I encourage you to go back and watch it. It is a fantastic film that stays with you long after the credits roll. And I just wanted to include it in my theme this month. And yeah, just hope that people will watch it if they haven't, because it really is a wonderful, fantastic film. And I've been waiting. That was my top of the list of what I consider dialogue-driven movies. I can watch that movie often. So
Closers get coffee.
yeah, it's.
You mentioned Alec Baldwin, and Al Pacino was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah.
I would say that if they redid the Oscars from that year, I would say that instead of Al Pacino getting nominated, it would be Alec Baldwin, and I would say that he would beat Gene Hackman from Unforgiven easily.
Yeah.
Like that scene that he is in is so riveting.
Yeah. Yeah. I can, like I say, and he's only in the movie less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
And yet it's the driver for the entire story. That's the power of Mamet's work is he knows how to use a character and that character's dialogue to drive an entire narrative. And when a movie can capture the play, I'd been familiar with the play. I actually did pieces of it when I was doing oral interpretation in college and high school. I mean, there were segments of that play that I did as dramatic readings. So when the film was out, I was like, yeah, here we go. And then, but I had that trepidation. I'm like, will it live up? And it certainly does. So Glengarry Glen Ross is this week's Real-Time Rewind, and just hope that folks will watch it if you haven't already. Okay, once again, don't forget, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as here on YouTube. Just click likes on all of those mediums. And don't forget that here on YouTube, click subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to those of you who have. We really appreciate you. Don't forget, click that notification bell so that you know when our episodes land as soon as they do. And also give this episode a like. We really like those likes. They're encouraging. And we hope that you'll also go back into the library of shows we have published and check them out, any one of the ones you've missed. Also, like we've been saying, very soon we're going to get that audio podcast updated this week. As a matter of fact, I've been pulling files and I'm going to upload, and that way you can catch all of our episodes from way back, because this is episode number 56. Can you believe it, guys? We've been going strong, so it's going to be it's been a fun year as far as this show goes, and we're looking forward to doing more for you in 2021. All right, we're going to move right now to what we like to call real quick reviews. Paul, I'll turn it over to you, and I'm excited to talk about one of the films, or the film, whatever it may be, because I watched one this time.
Yeah, Netflix has been stacking up some movies to release through November and December, and the one they released this week is something else, and it's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, starring Viola Davis, unrecognizably as Ma Rainey, Chadwick Boseman as one of her. Ma Rainey is like the mother of the blues. She's got her horn section. One of the younger, more ambitious members of the horn section is Levy, played by Chadwick Boseman, and the movie takes place over one recording session. And it's just, and it's based, you mentioned Glenn Ross, it's based off of a Pulitzer Prize winning play by the same name. And it's one of those movies where it feels like a play. Like and I believe we've done, I've done, and actually Viola Davis was in Fences, and that was one that I spoke about earlier on a earlier podcast when I was doing Viola Davis movies, and this one feels like a play. Like you
absolutely,
the way just all the beats, the way the tension rises throughout, the singularity in the in the sets, the set really that's used, and this movie is this is a powerful movie in a lot of different ways, and I believe it's going to be Chadwick Boseman's final film, that we'll get to see. I mean, this is one of those movies where you have the unfortunate comment of Chadwick Boseman will almost definitely get nominated for something for this. And you almost have to wonder, is this what you want him to be remembered for? Is this what you want him to, because the character, he plays a really difficult character to like. And also a really difficult character to hate, quite frankly, throughout the movie, until the very end. But it's just, but that's the complexity of this movie, and that's the complexity of the source material and the time. 1927 Chicago. African American artists that are, trying to express themselves, but also work within a system that is not designed or set up to benefit them in any way, shape, or form. But them beginning to understand and that they do have power and exerting that power. It's just the dynamics of this movie are amazing. I don't know that I could say, oh, definitely watch this Christmas week. I wish they had released this like 2 weeks ago instead of this week. It's a tough watch Christmas week, I'm not gonna lie. Like I watched this movie and I was like, this is not putting me in a Christmas mood at all. But I do highly recommend it. It's really, really good. Sergio, go ahead.
The thing about this movie, Paul, I messaged you a one-word thought.
Yes.
I put the title of the movie and I simply said, wow.
Yeah.
This movie, and I don't know how this is going to sound, but I was so numbed and devastated by the loss of Chadwick Boseman earlier this year that I can't believe it was August, and here we are in December. This movie is what finally broke something inside me that made me understand the loss of a Chadwick Boseman, because his performance in this is so real.
Yeah. Visceral.
Yes. I couldn't find the words for how powerful his performance was. And you can, unfortunately, and I know that sounds horrible to say it that way, you can't not watch it without the specter of the fact that he's gone.
Yes.
Over you. And never would that have been the intent of those that were filming this movie, because now that we know that he was sick while filming this movie.
Very
That's
sick.
he was
Yeah.
very sick. I mean, suffering through colon cancer and yet delivering a performance that if he's not nominated would be a crime.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he might even win
Right.
the Best Supporting Actor Oscar because of this,
Right.
and deservedly so. Again, I can't. There's a lot of movies still to be figured out in terms of nominations, but this is the kind of performance that I just thought it was devastating to watch because it was so beautifully played. Viola Davis, listen.
Forget it. I could spend an hour talking about Viola Davis' performance in this movie.
And guys, if you haven't seen this film, you need to see this film for all the reasons of what we've gone through this year. And I'm not going to get into a social soapbox right now, but other than to say this movie is the perfect capture of so many things that have gone on in our nation this year alone, not to mention the last few and historically. But if you just look at it from a cinematic standpoint, the fact that I felt like I was standing on that studio floor as the events played out. I felt like I was in that rehearsal room. Like that's how drawn in you get to, in this movie. And when I
started sweating and it wasn't
warm. You felt the heat of the room. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I wanted a Coke. Like, I mean, when you watch it, you'll know what we mean. It was visceral. It was so powerfully put together. Denzel Washington produces it. I'm forgetting the last name of the director. Help me out, Paul.
It's Wolf, George C. Wolf.
Thank you, George C. Wolf. There is a wonderful addendum to this movie on Netflix. Paul, I don't know if you've caught it. Susan, when you watch it, you'll watch both. You believe me, it'll help. There is a documentary that is also on Netflix right now that is the traditional making of, but it examines not only the work of August Wilson, in particular this play, but also the decisions that George C. Wolf made in terms of how he filmed it. Because he talks about it. This play is set in the winter in Chicago, but he purposefully puts it in the summer, and boy, does it work.
Wow, that's really fascinating.
It's an amazing documentary, and you'll want to watch it because it really, and it even explains things that as I looked at previews, I thought I don't know enough about Ma Rainey to know, but now I do. And so, because it drove me to read. I needed about an hour after the credits rolled. I watched the documentary immediately after, and I still needed about an hour just to read and catch up. And I was just so moved. This for me on our scale of and I'm going to use your bizcochito scale. This is 5 bizcochitos and a very, very big glass of. I'm just saying now because I don't want to go to tacos yet since it's our holiday episode. But people need to watch this movie, and I agree with you. Probably not the week of Christmas, but. For all of the reasons that this film was, the messages that this film is designed to give, and I don't know that there are any doubters out there, but if you ever had a doubt as to whether or not Chadwick Boseman could do more than Black Panther, you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't watch this film. And he has so much other great work.
We're losing out on 20 to 30 years of amazing, raw, emotional performances like this.
Yeah. Thank goodness we need to protect Viola Davis right now.
Yeah, put her in a glass box or a plastic bubble or something.
Yeah, and let's not forget the rest of this cast. Do some reading, guys. I know
absolutely,
probably but the band,
the whole band is fantastic.
I can't say enough about this film. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is a treasure, and years from now, when they decide, what goes into the film archives, the National Film Archives, this is a lock. This is a lock to be preserved.
Yeah, I'm going with. I'm going to go to tacos just because this is not a Christmas movie at all.
Okay,
it would get -5 bizcochitos on the Christmas scale, but on the taco scale, it gets the full 5.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
And this will definitely have you wondering, do I want to reward people for playing characters this I don't know, but it's tough. Yeah. It's like you like to root for good guys, and this is one of those that makes you root for somebody who's clearly not a good guy, but
right.
just so it's
This performance sets the bar for the next round of Oscars.
Big time.
I dread now what's going to happen if he doesn't get at least nominated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho's, that was our less than real quick review of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I don't mind doing this on air because I've decided right now I'm gonna do it for the episode. I want to dedicate this episode to one Chadwick Boseman for all of the wonderful things that he did in his life, and again for leaving us a legacy of great films. He definitely was a talent. So, all right. Well, guys, I can't finish this episode without wishing both of you a very happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all the wonderful things. Any other way that our fans celebrate, whether it be at Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating this time of year, if you do, we wish you well. We're excited, and Susan, I mean it when I say I'm excited about what you're going to watch in the next year, and I really appreciate that you share with us week to week as you go through this journey.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited.
Agreed,
to
100%.
bring a whole big old stack. Come back January.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
And Paul, we've been in this a little while longer than Susan with us, but I relish it every time. Thank you for all you bring to the show.
This is my best present for Christmas that you gave me, Sergio, and the best thing about 2020 for me was this podcast. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be doing it a whole lot more in 2021. To all of you out there in the world, we thank you so much for joining us week to week, for sharing our love of cinema. And more importantly, as we always say, don't forget, you're awesome, you're amazing, and the world's a better place because you are in it. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you in 2021. We'll see you next time on Reel to Real Talk.